Okay, classification of people based on expenses or income in the society. Then we have the lower class, middle class, and upper high class people. Yeah, the classification is based on income. Okay. Another example of classification is gender, yeah, female and males. So can you see the difference between this grouping? This is taxonomy and this one is classification. Okay, I will show you because maybe you have no idea about this one. So the minerals are classified based on anions. You know the anions? It's like this one, SiO2. The anion is oxygen and the cation is silicon. So it is based on anions. So oxide is all the minerals that the anion is of oxygen. So like SiO2, silicon, quartz, yeah, and with the minerals name is quartz. And then alumina, AlO3, the anion is oxygen, and the minerals name is corundum. Why do we have mineral names and the chemical formula? Because the mineral names will also give information on the crystal structures. Because the silica can have three different crystal structures. We have quartz, tridymite, and chrysolite. You don't have to learn about that, but it's just for your knowledge. Yeah? Alumina corundum. This is the natural one, but we do make most of alumina that we use in our lives is man-made, and it's not corundum. It's just alumina. It is made from bauxite. So bauxite will be processed. You know, bauxite is the ore of aluminum. Bauxite will process into alumina, and then alumina will be processed to get the aluminum metals. So this is oxides, and then halides. So halides is all minerals in which the anion is of the seventh group in the periodic table. The halides group, like chlorine, iodine, and fluorine. Yeah, that's all halides. And then sulfides, if the anion is sulfur. Like this one, we call it chalcopyrite. This is the ore for copper. And then this one with FAS2, this is sulfur, the other is pyrite, etc. Then with carbonate, etc. So the classification of minerals is based on the anions. But the classification of taxonomy of ceramic is not based on the same aspect. That's why we call it taxonomy. So glasses is a group of material in which they do not have crystal structure. They are not crystalline. Yeah, non-crystalline materials are always transparent. Easy to identify. If you have a transparent material, then they are glasses because they do not have crystal structure. Atoms in the glass material are not orderly arranged, they are randomly arranged. But we also have, yeah, so this is glass, they are transparent. But if you look at this one diamond, they are also transparent, but they are not glasses. They are crystalline material, but they became transparent, or they are transparent because they only consist of one grain. So that's why cutting of diamonds is important, because you have to cut according to the grain shape. Okay, so there are many types of glasses. We already mentioned about the ordinary glasses, so the lime glass, And then the Pyrex glass is or we call it borosilicate glass, in which it resists quite high temperature. And then we have the glasses for mobile phones. What do you call it? Screen. The brand name we call it Gorilla Glass. Yeah, it actually is aluminum silicate glass. And we have different types and other different types of glasses. Like the glasses for crystal chandelier, it's soda lime glass plus lead oxide. Yeah. Like the Swarovski glasses, it's lead oxide glass. And then we have clay products. So clay products is all materials or group of materials in which the raw materials it is made of clay. We can have bricks, yeah, like the one on the wall, and then roof tiles, and then for example terracotta tiles, and also the tiles here, porcelain tiles, they are all clay products. Yeah. The mugs, yeah, mugs, and then the fine china dinnerware, and the one on the toilets, like the closet, the wash basin, they are clay products. And then we have refractories. So refractory is a group of material that is used, yeah, at high temperature because they can withstand very high temperature, more than 1000 degrees Celsius. Example is alumina, zirconia, the one used for lining the furnace, yeah, for example in smelters, yeah, in which you melt metals, yeah, at 1400 degrees. You need to have material that at that temperature it is still doesn't change and does not break, yeah, or react with the materials that reflect. Now, there are refractories that made from clay. We call it fire clay refractory. So there is what do you call it? An overlap actually, yeah. A certain special clay product can be classified or grouped into refractory if it is a special clay that can withstand high temperature. And then we have abrasives. So abrasives is all materials that is wear resistant. They are wear resistant because they are very hard. So this material is used, for example, as sandpaper for cutting things. We don't talk about cutting food, right? But we talk about cutting rocks. So it has to be a very hard material. So diamond actually fall into this category, and also for polishing. And then cements. Cement's definition is it is a material usually in powder forms, and when we mix it with water and leave it at room temperature, it will harden. They are cement. So it's similar. Cement is categorized as ceramics because that powder material is of ceramics. Yeah, it falls into the definition of ceramic. They are inorganic. We also have a binder, so it may be similar. Yeah, binder is a material to like glue. Yeah, we call it, or to stick something together. That's binder. For example, when maybe some of you like to cook. When you cook, for example, you make a the difference between binder and cement is that binder, they need high temperature to hard, but cement, it doesn't need high temperature to hard. Yeah? It just leave it at room temperature. We like well, if you know the thermoset materials, yeah, you mix two things together and you heat it and it will harden, but it doesn't fall into ceramic because it is go into plastic or polymers. So that's cements, and then we have advanced ceramic, the ceramic that we use for its special properties like engine rotors, valves, bearings, yeah, sensors, superconductor, yeah, etc. Okay, now the crystal structure of ceramics. Yeah, like metals, they have crystal structures. Here, for example, but the difference is because ceramic is a compound. You have cation and anion. So the crystal structure, when we talk about the crystal structure of ceramic, it's more complicated than metals because metal consists only one element, one type of atom. Yeah, but ceramic we have at least two. We have cation and anion, and because the cation size is much smaller than the anion, so the cation location is in the space, in the interstitial space between the anions. And between the cation and anion there is covalent or ionic bonding. So that's why the ceramic is not ductile, yeah, they don't conduct electricity. But in metals, you don't have cation, you just have one types of elements, and the bonding between them is metallic. Okay, so this is, you don't go deeper into this one and for technology. So this is how the cations arrangement in the anion. So you see, the larger balls here is actually the anions atoms. For example, we have this here 8 anions, and then it you put it together densely, touching each other, and the cation sits in between the 8 anion. And for example, here you have 4 anions, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 on the top, and in the interstitial space between 4 anions sits the cation. This is how the arrangement between cation and anion in ceramic, and this is the crystal structure examples of ceramics. This is complicated. Okay, let's look at an example of a polymorph. It is a material that has the same chemical composition but different crystal structure. Diamond and graphite, they are all made of carbon. It's the same carbon but different crystal structure. Diamond, the carbon is arranged like this, like a cubic, yeah, or the reference is cubic. And between this, so each carbon atom will have 4 or touch, yeah, with other 4 carbon. And the bond between the carbon atom is covalent. On the other hand, graphite, this is the arrangement of the graphite atom, carbon atom in graphite. We call it hexagonal arrangement. It's one cubic arrangement. You see, it actually like forming layers. Yeah. So this is all the blue dots here, the balls here is carbon atoms. In this layer, carbon atom will connect or will have bond with 3 other carbon atoms, and the bonding is covalent. But within this one and this one, so carbon atom must have 4 bonding. otherwise it will not stable. But with these atoms, the bonding is metallic. So between layers we have metallic bonding, but within layer we have covalent bonding. Another example, so here we carbon is a material that can be engineered into variety of shapes. Yeah, we have tolerance or buckyballs made of 60 carbon atoms, carbon nanotubes like this one, as this one. Okay, now I'm going to show you the difference between the crystalline material and non-crystalline or amorphous material. This is of the same compound or material, which is silica, SiO2. Here the silica has the are crystalline. They are orderly arranged, but in this one in glass, in silica glass, they are not orderly arranged. Yeah, you see the difference, yeah. But still, yeah, in silica this is the silicon atoms, but still the silicon atoms will bond with 4 oxygen atoms. This is only cut, yeah, into the section. The other, the 4th oxygen atom is underneath or above the plane of this section. And here is the typical characteristic of ceramics. Yeah, the bonding is strong because it's covalent or ionic. It has high modulus of elasticity. So if we look at, if we made the stress and curve for ceramics, then if this is metals, ceramic, they have higher modulus of elasticity, so it must be like this one. Higher. To go steeper, it means they have higher modulus of elasticity and they do not have a lot of elongation. They brittle, so usually it's just you don't have this. Maybe yes, but very very small. Almost it's not significant. So the modulus of elasticity is 2 or 3 times higher. Because it has strong atomic bonding, the melting point is higher than metals. Now the density. The density is lower than metals. We have the same volume. For example, you have the same volume of iron and you have the same volume of bricks, and bricks is lighter than the iron. For example, the density of iron is, I think, about 6.7 or 7.6, and the density of concrete is 2.4, and the density of water is 1. So you see the difference? And you know the density of gold is 13.6, so it's very heavy. 1 kilogram of gold may be only this size. That's 1 kilogram. Okay, and ceramic, because they are compound, they are chemically inert. They don't react. They have low chemical reactivity. So let's take example for the tiles, yeah, on the floor or the bricks. They do not react with the oxygen in the air. But if we have, for example, iron, you leave it in the air, it will react with the air, and it will corrode. It will produce rust. Why is it so? Because they are already compound. They already achieve the configuration of noble gas, yeah, but metals, they, they actually come from ceramics, yeah, like metals, iron oxide, and we have to take out the iron, so it's actually not natural. So that's why it will return to its original condition. Okay, number 6, I will skip it. You don't need to know about this. Number 7, ceramics are brittle and hard. And it is, because it is hard, it's wear resistant. You know wear resistant? House, yeah. If, okay, your for example, your shoes or your attire, it will wear, it becomes thinner, yeah, because it will wear. Usually, material is soft wear easily. Most soft material will wear easily. Okay, this one I skip. So the fabrication method of ceramics. Actually, there are. I already looked for the film about the fabrication method, but okay, first is the clay fabrication method. You know the making of vase, mugs, yeah, pottery, yeah, then glass forming, particle forming, and cementation.